Is a Chevrolet Bolt special because it sets a new benchmark in range for the dollar? Or is it simply a good car that happens to be electric? Well, why can't it be both? Until just a few months ago, you'd have had to spend more than twice the Bolt EV's $37,500 starting price to get 238 miles of electric range, but that's what Chevrolet's new electric car delivers. After a $7,500 federal tax credit and possible state incentives, the net price can come down to under $30,000 or just a bit over with options, and that in itself is a big deal. Built from the ground up as an all-electric car, the Bolt's development began a few years ago in response to Tesla's goal of a similarly priced 200-plus mile EV. In September 2013, Tesla's Elon Musk actually tweeted his approval of GM's project, saying, "I'm happy to hear that GM plans to develop an affordable 200-mile range electric car. Right target. Hope others do same." Although the Bolt beat Tesla's Model 3 to the market, Tesla is reaching its own long-anticipated goal, and Model 3 production is expected in July. Nissan also is planning a second-generation longer-range Leaf this year, and more 200-milers are on the horizon, but meanwhile, the Bolt is asking for your attention now. Front-wheel drive, the car is actually pretty fast and fun to drive. The Bolt's big 960-pound liquid thermally managed battery also helps with structural rigidity and lowers the center of gravity to make the Bolt more engaging and a better handler than other EVs in its class. Since being initially launched last October in California and Oregon, the Bolt is making its way across the country and should be in all 50 states by this summer. Sales so far have not surpassed the widely available extended-range Chevy Volt with a V, and otherwise the Bolt EV is General Motors' head start for a future in which many more EVs are expected to come along this decade into next. Being a purpose-built electric car, Chevrolet had the opportunity to develop a vehicle on a flat floor, which is really great for space utilization. The vehicle actually is called a compact crossover because it's maximum volume. There's no, unlike the Chevrolet Volt with a V, there's no battery tunnel, maximum space utilization, actually pretty good volume all the way around. Interior materials are where they had to save some money somewhere because it's got the exotic powertrain. You can hear the fair amount of hard touch plastic, some soft touch, and we're in the Premier version, which is the upscale version. The base price is $37,495, and this one is stickering at about $43,000. It'd be nice if it had all-wheel drive. Chevrolet says that the chassis actually could handle all-wheel drive, but they have chosen not to do that. So it is what it is. The charging time on this vehicle is pretty well so slow with 120 volts that you will need to get a level 2 charger. That would be 240 volts. It gets about 4 miles of range per hour if you only plug it into the wall, which would give you basically, if you're assuming an empty battery, it would take 60 hours to recharge, which is pretty well impractical. With a level 2 240 volt charge, it takes about 9 hours, much more respectable. You know, you can get 50 miles of range in a couple hours. Realistically, people don't tend to empty the battery out. So just a few hours or less, you can be back to full battery. So actually, with so much range with this vehicle, 238 miles EPA rated combined range, a lot of times you don't even need to plug in every day, which used to be a ritual if you would have something like a Nissan Leaf, you know, a few years back, which had at most 73 to 84 miles range. So this vehicle is almost a quantum jump over what you could get in electric cars in range for the dollar. That's one of the reasons why we really like it. Plus it's spacious, it is purpose-made, and it's sold in all 50 states, which is great. Presently, until the Tesla Model 3 comes out, this is the most advanced, in arguable terms, electric car at its price range, below $40,000. Some people have complained about the asymmetrical cut to the seats, where the inner bolster has been cut a little bit narrower to allow room for an extra wide armrest. I guess that kind of depends on your body dimensions, whether that's a deal breaker for you. It's fine for me. Average build, 6 feet tall. No lumbar support. It would be nice to have lumbar support, but what is nice is the heated steering wheel and heated front and back seats, which, by the way, help with preventing having to use the HVAC, which is a liquid heated HVAC circuit. There's actually 3 cooling loops in this vehicle, one for the battery, one for the high power electronics, and one for the HVAC. So they're heating water just like as if it was running off of a gas engine and taking heat exchange from that just to warm the cabin, which obviously whenever you turn on any HVAC function, the algorithms readjust for the range. So you can see that immediately. We have the air conditioning on at this time, and that dropped the range immediately to an estimated from 211 down to 198, just like that, by turning on the cooling. Heating also takes energy. So the idea of warming your body instead of the entire air portion of the vehicle is something that they're still doing. The sound of this vehicle is a nice electric motor whine. It sounds actually kind of cool. The vehicle is really pretty peppy too. It's actually engaging and fun to drive, and you know, that's become almost a cliche that EV advocates always have to drop that little, and it truly is fun to drive. This car is quick. It goes from 0 to 30 in just 2.9 seconds. It goes from 0 to 60 in about 6.5. And it pulls pretty well, even at highway speeds. It's pulling 60, 70, 80. It's pulling well, like it had a big V6 or something under the hood, or maybe even an 8. It's pulling nicely. One of the reasons is they've only kept this top speed down to 91, so it's using all of its power in a relatively tame range. Of course, 91 miles per hour is well above any posted national speed limit, so it's all right. So the estimated range is 238 miles. Realistically, in slower speed driving, you can do that no problem. In fact, you can beat that no problem. The city being 255 range, we've seen 250, 260 miles is totally possible, especially if you aren't using the HVAC functions. Because this vehicle has such a big battery, GM's engineers were free to open up the usage of that power. That's always a strategy, because if they only had a very small 20 some odd 30 kilowatt hour battery and they gave it all the power this thing has, people would be running the thing low. Because of the big battery, they can open up that horsepower, and this vehicle is really pretty engaging, at least in a straight line. It goes and chirps the tires. You can break the tires loose almost, and we've broken the tires loose at high as 48 miles an hour in a straight line on dry pavement. The Bolt EV sets a new level of what can be expected for an electric vehicle for below $40,000, actually below $30,000 with the federal credit factored in. Just in 2011, the state-of-the-art would be, say, the Nissan Leaf, which came with a whopping 73 miles of range and was priced between $30,000 to $40,000. Now, Nissan quickly lowered the price by 2013, but they're still, even to this day, nursing along a vehicle with 107 miles of range for $30,000, $31,000. This vehicle, for another $6,000 and change, it more than doubles that. And that's really more than some people ever expected electric cars to do. The reason why they were able to do that is not because batteries got so much more superior. It is better. It has more energy and more power, and it's a liquid-cooled battery, which is phenomenal. But basically, they got cheaper. And so this vehicle does make electric cars so much more viable than they were just even a couple years ago, even last year. The Bolt EV sets a new standard in electric cars. It's quick, spacious, and more fun to drive than many EVs in its class. It's so good, in fact, that we think it could create many more converts to the idea that the time of the electric car has come of age.